1,337. That is how many days it took for Blockbuster. I'm sorry, I'm just waiting for the slide still. All right, we're good to go. Thank you. 1,337. That is how many days it took from when Netflix released their streaming software to when Blockbuster went out of business. At the time, John Antioco said that the dot-com hysteria is completely overblown. He deemed Netflix to be too big of a company and a problem for him. And he didn't really realize that his company, which was a $1.2 billion company, was going to crumble in 1,337 days. But it turns out massive tech giants were born at that time. They were some of the largest companies on the stock market, and they were crushing businesses in their path. At the same time, there was another quote that said, companies rarely die from moving too fast, and they frequently die from moving too slow. Any guess who said that? Reed Hastings, the co-founder of Netflix. So we've all heard the relationship now that AI is the next wave since the internet, that it's going to take all of our jobs and replace all of the work that we've done for the last 15 years. But we strap into GPT and we listen to these pundits explain to us that AI is the next wave. We can't help but wonder where we're going to be 1,337 days from now. And so my presentation here is going to show you what we have predicted and what we are doing and preparing for that. But today is October 16th, and everybody in this room is either running a business or trying to figure out how to run a business and know that humans were responsible for giving birth to AI. So my name is Andrew Amann. I'm the CEO and co-founder of NineTwoThree Studio. We're an AI agency that produces about 150 products in the last 12 years. We've been working on AI products for 8 years, and some of our clients include Consumer Reports, NPR, Experian, and Simplisafe. In the last 6 months, I've been traveling specifically for this speech and talking to a lot of the executives at some of the biggest companies building products today. Those include the executives from OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, which is building their Alexa device on top of Claude. From the products I'm specifically a part of to the products that are being presented at conferences across America, there's a very clear underlying technology that I need to tell you about. And actually, the presentation before was hinting very strongly at what this conversation is going to be about. And I'm going to tell you about that today. But you need to understand this not to have fear that your business is going under or that things are changing so rapidly that you need to change today. I'm here to tell you that you need to prepare and adapt your business to the future. And being that and having that adaptation muscle as a CEO or as an executive at your business allows you to change and allows you to modify your business in a way that you can grow and cope with AI. Because if you just keep making tiny adjustments, I guess you can still keep making dollar trees out of blockbusters. But we're here for revolutionary changes. We're here to try to figure out what's happening in that long period of time. And so as I've given this talk, people are always wondering, what is he going to say? Is he going to say that SEO is going to be fine and that everything is going to stay the same way it is? I'm still going to get ranked in Google the way I was before. Are we going to say things like Google ads are going to be exactly the same as they are in 10 years? Or are they going to change? I don't know those answers. I don't know if Google ads is going to change overnight with AI overviews or even how they're going to operate with AI overviews. People wonder if hallucinations are always going to be an issue, or are we going to finally solve that? And they ask that all the time. And they also ask, hey, Andrew, when are machines going to finally code like a developer? And so I don't know those answers, and that's not what we're trying to discover today, and that's not what we're building today. What I can tell you is that each of us is going to own and operate an AI agent. The AI agent can retrieve information for us at superhuman speed, and the amount of information that agents can search, digest, filter, and present is going to feel like magic and make Google feel very ancient. As agents are deployed, agents will be deployed autonomously across the internet and do many jobs that the humans hold today. In fact, they already are, and we're part of building that future. But let's start off by defining what an AI agent is. You know, the last talk did a great job too, so it's a great lead-in for my explanation of an AI agent too, which is exactly the same what he was saying. An AI agent is a piece of software that uses AI to accomplish a multi-step goal on behalf of the user. So think of Zapier. We've all used Zapier in the room. You have a process and you have a bunch of steps to feed for an API. And at the end of it, it could be many steps, it could be a few steps, but imagine that without a UI. There are 3 parts of an AI agent: the AI model, the memory, and the tools. So the model itself is obviously what houses it, and AI agents can use specific tools as necessary, But the memory is really the important part that we're starting to experiment with and seeing great results with. These agents can remember past commands, and they can also do a whole task because they've remembered the pieces that are put together to kind of complete that task. I always joke that they call them AI agents instead of AI husbands because I can literally walk to CVS, stand in the aisle, call my wife, and she'll say, the milk that you were supposed to get is at the grocery store. So you have to be able to remember your task while you're trying to execute the next task. I would be horrible as an AI agent. To represent this in your mind, I like thinking of this model. So our data scientists put this together to kind of explain the input and output of any AI agent that needs to be executed. And we're going to talk a lot about this throughout the presentation. So just kind of frame this as we go about the talk. An agent executor can have an agent which can be an LLM, and an LLM can use tools. Those tools can be any sorts of things on the internet that it has access to complete the task, to go through the output. And I like to think that this is Agent Smith, or one of the agents in the Matrix, kind of getting a thing in his ear saying, you have an objective, go complete that task. And just like the Matrix, they'll do anything in their power to complete that task. So there's a bunch of agents that we can talk about, and I'll flow through a few of them very quickly. The first one, we've all used ChatGPT. I hope we've all used ChatGPT in this room in a conference about AI. But the one agent that you've all used is a search agent. So if you've asked ChatGPT for an answer and it got stuck, it'll say crawling the web. That is an agent going out, searching the internet for you, finding the information that's necessary, ranking it, and pulling it back. So that's a simple agent that we've all used in our past. But agents can be teeny tiny. They can be very task-oriented. Like Bob's Color Picker is an agent that lives on the HubSpot marketplace. It's named Bob after the person that created the product, but it's basically you give it a URL, and it tells you the color of the website. Very simple agent, but it could be very useful in a process of a multi-step agent process. We have a product, a customer of ours came to us with a bunch of data, and we predict houses in the United States. As of today, you can give us a zip code, and we can predict with accuracy 85% of the houses that will go for sale next month in that zip code. That can be turned into an AI agent. It's basically you give it a zip code, it gives you houses that are for sale. Delta is working on a few AI agents. The obvious one is you tell it where you want to fly, it'll book that flight for you. But they're also working on agents that are exploratory. Here's 2 cities, here's 2 places I want to travel, which flights can I use? So it's the pre-booking stage as well. And Delta is in the process of building these agents. One of my favorite ones that we've used, and it's always hilarious when it works, is the human in the loop. When the agent hits a roadblock that it no longer can complete its objective, it goes onto a website like Fiverr, creates a post, waits for the human to do the task, takes the information from the human, and then continues its objective until it can complete its entire task. It's awesome when it works, as long as you're not doing the CAPTCHA one. I guess that's not allowed. We have translator agents. We have agents inside of Salesforce and HubSpot. And what I'd like to point out about these 2 companies is if you follow them in the last year, both CEOs are diving heavily into the company. I think even Mark Benioff is changing his name to Agentforce from Salesforce. He's that big on agents. Dharmesh can't have any post on LinkedIn without mentioning his agent AI platform. So they're moving in that direction for a reason as well. In fact, there's 14 marketplaces that I found of billion-dollar companies or more, whether it's Claude, Anthropic, Google, Microsoft, that you can go hire and find agents to do different operable tasks for you. So I guess the question becomes, how will agents work? And again, they did a great job in the last presentation explaining it. So I'm kind of echoing exactly how that works. But I'm also pointing out that this is not what we're hoping for. We do not want agents replicating themselves. We want the humans to still have control of the agents themselves. But this is a roadmap that I like to demonstrate. It's the thought process of how we use devices today. There's an input device. If anybody has a thought or an idea, you have to figure out which device you're going to pick up. Is it going to be a phone, a laptop, a car, a television? But you have to think, which device am I going to pick up? And after you pick up that device, you then have to interact with it. So in your head, you think about which search bar is necessary to retrieve the information that you want, right? So if you want to buy a toaster, you're not going to go to eBay. Well, I guess you could go to eBay, but you're not going to go to TripAdvisor to search for a toaster. You as the human know that. And so the next step after you pick up the device is to find the app that you want to use and use that search bar to find the information. The device responds with a confirmation. Now, this is an important thing that we're used to. When you think back, it's kind of ridiculous, right? You ask the internet for a question, and they're like, here's 44,000 results. Pick one. And you're like, okay, I'll go with the first one, right? That's how Google works, and it's ridiculous. That's how Amazon works. And it's ridiculous that the human has to then sort through the madness to find the one. And of course, there's algorithms that help you pick that certain one, but once you grab it and pull it into what you're trying to search for, processing happens, servers are called, and then it's presented with that one product you were looking for. And you're like, this is not what I wanted, or this is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. And either you go back through the process again, or you finish your task. But that's typically how we work. With an agentic workflow, you remove 3 of those steps. The first step you remove is the search bar, because you're using ChatGPT, or you're using Gemini or Siri, and you're asking for the product, and the agents are going out and finding where that product might live or that information might live for you to retrieve. So the next step is it's still presenting back to you. And this is why we've been calling them co-pilots, because it's like working with a partner in crime to get the information with you. It's not doing it automatically. It's guiding you during that path to retrieve that information for you. And then finally, you still get the results, and then you have to figure out, is this right or wrong for me? So when we first created computers, we had these traditional programs. They were fully deterministic, and they were very narrow. And then as we started creating CRMs and platforms on the internet, we started creating programmed agents to do some autonomous tasks for us. But they were still very deterministic and considerably narrow. Agents and ChatGPT brought us to that specialized agent world. We're starting to realize we can do a little bit more general tasks with one platform. So that's the first revelation you have, is that ChatGPT can solve multiple problems for you, not just the problem with my toaster. As we move into autonomous agents, we're finally getting close to that general agent, that one search bar that can solve all the tasks on my phone for me. I have no idea when we're getting to that next step. Years, months, multi-years, I have no idea, but that's beyond my expectations. So individual AI models are the next question. If we're truly going to use that one search bar, doesn't it make sense, and everyone said this in this room to themselves, if I had my own personalized ChatGPT, something that knows me very well? And in The Matrix, Neo meets the architect, and the architect shows him all of these television screens of his life. It has been following and monitoring Neo throughout those 3 movies. And so the architect is acting as that individual agent, that universal agent that understands what has happened in his life and where Neo might take his next action, almost like an omniscient person. So AI models are not just a tool, they're a digital extension of yourself. Because if you do have an individual model for you, you are truly putting yourself on the internet. Your thoughts, your actions, your text messages, and all the interactions that you have with the internet is coming through your device. And that AI model is learning and adapting to that. It can anticipate your needs and seamlessly handle all of the requests that you give it. So why is this so important? Because the person that owns that AI model is going to have unprecedented information about you and about your tendencies and your habits. I always think it's like a parent and a therapist. It'll know your text messages to your wife. It'll know your text messages to your kids, interactions with all the apps that you have. The model will basically be able to understand so many tasks, and you will get so much information back so quickly that it'll be hard to not use. You'll start to be addicted to it. And when I think of this, I think of Tank sitting in his chair. He's what Google thinks of as of the future, right? Google wants this to happen. They want this information on their phone and on their device compared to the other devices you could use. So Google themselves want to deploy this onto a platform in which they can monitor every interaction from all the humans across their devices. And I believe there's 2 paths we can go to as a society. Google and Apple are pushing this free model where the AI assistant comes with your device and you can interact with it and use it. But I hope that we're going to fall into a privacy model as well, where you pay for your model, but you control your data and your privacy. And that's where Claude and Perplexity comes in. And if you use Perplexity, you start to realize there's a different way to interact with the AI models than what Google's pushing. And if you enjoy that, that paid model hopefully can protect our data as well. So the race is on, right, between these big companies. And that's why they're crawling up all of these search results. They're trying to control this world, whether it's a free world or a private world. They're trying to figure out how the future is going to hold. Oh, my clicker's stuck. Oh, there we go. We all think of Google as a company that doesn't really care about data. I think it's safe to say that they try their best, but with their ad platform, it's very difficult for them to kind of convince us that they're securing our data properly. Apple, however, if you drive down Boston, they replace their logo with the lock. And we see that all the time. Apple's trying to tout privacy. Yet at WWDC this year, they released Apple Intelligence, AI, right? Very clever. And in Apple Intelligence, in the terms and conditions, they talked about their machine learning model, their AI model that they're going to put on every phone, on every device that they sell from there on forward. And I want you to read this last part. The foundation models built into Apple Intelligence have been fine-tuned for user experiences such as writing, refining text, prioritizing, summarizing notifications, and creating playful images for conversations with families and friends. And then most importantly, they say, and taking in-app actions to simplify across devices. So they are fully aware that they're going to start to train their models on your information in your text messages. And that's what leads us to controlling the apps. If the agents are autonomous and they can do tasks for us, they're going to have to interact with the applications themselves. Now, I like to think this as app stacking. I'm personally a Bamboo, Readwise, LinkedIn, Bank of America, Spotify kind of guy. I know this, right? I know where my data lives because I interact with these apps. But if you didn't know me, you wouldn't know that I have a bunch of information in an app called Readwise. You might be a Apple, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube type of person, and I might not know that you've saved a lot of your information on YouTube. So it's very important to understand where the information is, and the human knows that, the person using the devices right now. We use all these databases, we use all these search bars, but we truly know inside of our heads where the information lives. So if I wanted to move to a new town, the transition that I'd have to make by using an AI assistant or an AI model is I'd have to give it access to my applications. I imagine at the bottom of the screen, there could be a bunch of links to applications that I've given the model access to. And when I search something like find me a house in Wakefield, Massachusetts, I don't need a listing of all the houses in Massachusetts. I just need truly the open houses that exist in the town I'm interested in. And also, I have a dog and 2 kids, houses that support that family lifestyle. I don't need a single room or a condo. I need some space. And if the AI model knows that, it can do the filtering for me and the categorization for me and perform better searches for me as my AI model. What happens as we think about the individual model is you're going to have one for work and one for personal. Because if you start training your work habits on your personal, the model's going to predict things that are incorrect for you. We're different people at work, right? We're doing different actions with different objectives. And so Microsoft fully understands this. You can imagine that each device you have is going to have a work profile and a personal profile. And I think that's very important because every profile you have is going to be typed or talked or interacted with, and who's going to manage that data? Microsoft right now is days away from releasing Microsoft Recall. You guys all heard about this before? It monitors in Office 365 every keystroke you do on your keyboard for your employer. Now, that is huge for the employer because it can start seeing habits and tendencies and efficiencies and all of those benefits that they can gain from having Microsoft Recall on all of their employees' keyboards. But from the personal side itself, you're giving up a lot of your tendencies to your company. And I think it's important to understand that Microsoft wants this on their computers for the workplace, but we as people need to understand that we have individual weights and individual characteristics that we might not want our company to know about. So whether it's personal or work, I'd like to look at how the weights interact with the devices themselves. I personally like dogs. I don't like cats. I love interacting with Legos. Actually, there's a Lego master here you guys should all meet. I love printing with 3D models. I do love building products. I like traveling. So I have all these weights, right? And as I grow up and adapt, those weights should adjust and change over time. And I'm the only one that knows that I all of a sudden didn't like an Apple device because I had a struggle moment. But that's a weight that I have. If you imagine my weights and your weights multiplied over every time you type on your keyboard, every time you interact with your device, you're going to get a giant digital fingerprint. And that is a representation of you. It's a digital twin of who you are online. It not only understands you, it understands your future self, your behaviors, your interactions, and things that you want to buy in the future based on other users' digital fingerprints. I can imagine advertisers will do anything to get a hold of those weights, which is why Google and Apple are pushing for that free world, because they truly want to own that. Coming all the way back to the search bar, we have to imagine that this is how we see the internet. We as the humans go to a search bar to find the information we necessarily want to pull. If I wanted to buy that toaster, I only use this one app in the corner called Amazon. But if I wanted to travel to Hawaii, I might have to use a multiple database search bar experience between TripAdvisor, Booking.com, and Airbnb. It's an experience that we've all gotten used to, but when you truly think of coming back to the one search bar, you start to realize who is going to own that search bar that can do all of those searches for me. And that one search bar is the competition right now between all of these tech giants. When I talked to the executives, I was trying to figure out, like, is it going to be part of the operating system, the browser? Like, where are you deploying these? And they said to me, the operating system would be great. We would love to have it inside of Google. But I don't think that we all use a Google device if you have a Windows laptop and a car that's running whatever the Mitsubishi is putting out, and a television that's running something completely different. Every time you log into a device, you need that model with you. So it needs to be mobile with you. It needs to travel with you. It can't be part of the operating system. As much as Google and Apple do it, the other tech giants don't want it as part of the operating system. So then I thought the browser. I thought the browser made a lot of sense because we can log into Chrome from any device. Even my television has Chrome. But the large language model needs a logged in state to always be interacting with you and managing those weights. So that Google even said it can't be part of the browser. So as I dug and dug and dug, it made it very obvious to me that the place that the AI assistant and the AI models are going to live is inside of the keyboard, the search results. The thing that you're going to interact with, whether it's Siri or Gemini or Amazon Alexa, truly the keyboard is where the human interacts with any device that they pick up. And it could be voice model, it could be typing. But this specific model is what you're going to see in all the advertisements for the next 6 months, because they're going to be pushing their assistants to us to get us on that platform compared to others, so we can start using those AI assistants. I still felt like I was missing something, because it seems obvious that the AI assistants have been around for a while. Why isn't it changed for us? Why have we not all adapted to ChatGPT immediately, or Gemini, or Siri? What is the piece that's still missing? And as I dug and asked, I said, you know, the users that forget how to use, how are users going to be more productive on this future? And what part of this are we missing? Like, forget about the way that we're searching the internet now. If we truly change our search habits, why hasn't the technology really shifted to us? And as I considered this, there was one dimension that I truly had missed in my exploration of trying to figure out where the search result was going to live. Can anyone guess or see the talk on Thursday which dimension really transforms agents into the next revolution where we're going to see massive changes on mobile phones and laptops? The answer, of course, is time. Time changes. It's where humans have the impossibility of interacting with a device. We have to use that device. We have to pick it up. But if you add time to an agentic workflow and you start doing things autonomously and based on a schedule, you no longer have to interact with that device. Things can move at a rate in which millions of agents can be deployed for you and doing those interactions for you based on a schedule. And that's truly what changes the agentic workflow. So let's come back to our roadmap. When we had this slide about an agentic workflow, we were still left with 3 interaction points. Once you add time as the 4th dimension here, all of those interactions, the only thing that's left is you pick up your phone and you look at the results. You don't have to ask. You don't have to find a search bar. You just know that at 2 o'clock, your wife told you to pick up the kids, and you have a map on your phone of exactly what time to leave and where to pick up those kids. Those agents can be working in the background with APIs, with all of the apps, confirming the information that's necessary and bringing that to your device for you. Truly working as the first AI assistant that we've all imagined we can have as a personal helper, not just a thing to shout out Amazon or Alexa every single time. So if the next wave's in the assistants, what are you going to do? I mean, the whole point of this talk is to try to explain how can businesses adapt to the future of AI assistants. And if you haven't been taking notes so far, I think this is the point in which we're going to bring everything together and start to realize that we all have an opportunity here to grow, because how does this affect every business in this room? So we spoke about search a lot. That search aspect is always top of the funnel. We're always trying to figure and ask Google, this is what I'm looking for, can you give me an answer? But we've all used ChatGPT a lot differently. As business owners, we ask ChatGPT for middle of the funnel answers. We give up the top of the search because ChatGPT is smarter than Google is. It helps us, it guides us, it gives us answers quicker than Google ever did. But we forget that our customers are the humans too, asking those same questions. They don't want to search top of the funnel stuff anymore. They want quicker, faster, better answers. And more importantly, humans are very lazy. We know this as business owners with some employees that we have or some customers that we have. They always want the easiest, fastest, quicker answer. Even if AI overviews are not always correct or they don't give the correct response, we're still lazy enough to say, that was quick. I'll go with that. I'll take that answer and run with it. And I think the best example I found in the last 2 weeks is CNET. CNET's in a bit of a downward spiral right now. If you read the news, they've had a few buyouts and acquisition things. But if you search noise-canceling headphones 5 years ago, this is what we'd expect to do. We'd go to the top of the funnel where a bunch of experts had written about noise-canceling headphones, their features, all the different parts of the headphones, who uses them, why you use them. But most importantly, CNET did all of this work because they had affiliate links on the side. And they expected that if they organized the information for you as experts and you found their page, they would help you purchase the right headphone and you would give them a little bit of money for purchasing that headphone through an affiliate link. Now, just 2 weeks ago, this is the result I got on Google without touching any buttons. I got an AI overview. Not only did I get that, it is a 1-to-1 ratio of how the overview, sound quality, design, connectivity, comfort, listed exactly from CNET, stolen exactly from CNET. Not only that, it told me, do I need them for sleeping, for a baby, for autism, for travel, for mowing? Those were sections inside the CNET article saying these headphones are better for these situations. So they took the CNET article, the top of the funnel stuff, they pasted it into the AI overview, and then most importantly, what did they do? They stripped the affiliate links and gave me direct links to the products themselves so I can make that purchase on Sony, Bose, and Sonos. The top of the funnel is gone. AI overviews are taking that over, whether it's at a company, SEO, any types of search, the top of the funnel is changing forever. So what takeaway do you have? Build for the middle of the funnel. Build content that takes user further down their product journey. Build for information that people want to find, not information to help them find more information. Every business lives on the internet and has a search for their products, their customers, the relationships they have, the other businesses they're working with. Every business lives on the internet and does that. Yet they forget that the middle of the funnel is here to stay while the top of the funnel has been completely erased by AI overviews. You need to build on your authority, information that you have, data that you have, information that you've acquired. All of that matters. And building for that middle of the funnel means that you can get the products to your customers quicker without needing to explain or give them that expert overview like CNET did. It's our mission as entrepreneurs to adapt to this new paradigm. Business models will not change overnight. We're all going to have to be a part of this change, and we're all going to have to start making those changes inside of our businesses. The way we see search is forever changed. It's already been changed. But our business traffic and how people interact with us and the SaaS products we use are things we're going to have to pay attention to of are they providing us middle of the funnel results, or are they truly just kind of wasting our time at the top of the funnel where AI lives? 1,337. That is how many days it took a $1.2 billion company to completely crumble because they didn't believe in the future. But it's also the same amount of time that many, many, many internet companies went from zero to billions of dollars. It's up to us in this room to figure out, are we going to be part of the tech giants like the internet days, or are we going to believe that AI is not a thing? And I'd like to leave you with the last thought of the Matrix. Oh, that was like a cliffhanger that I always bring that in. Let me go back. I'll do the cliffhanger again, ready? So in the Matrix, Neo goes down the rabbit hole, and he doesn't believe exactly what's the real world anymore. He's starting to realize there's a difference. And he has to wake up, and he gets presented with the red pill and the blue pill. And he finally wakes up, and he looks around, and he realizes that the world that he used to know wasn't the real world anymore. And the first thing Morpheus says to him is, welcome to the real world. I think we have to realize AI is here to stay. It is part of the real world with us, and we have to adapt and work with it to provide that information so that we can make our businesses prosper instead of worry about the past. So my name is Andrew. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And I'll take any questions. Yeah.
Thank you. I would love to understand. So first of all, I'm Iris from Microsoft,
Okay.
and I would love to understand more about your statement on keyboard is the future.
Yeah.
How should we interpret that? Do you mean that by keyboard will be where company collect data in the future versus search bar as where they collected data before?
Yeah, I use the keyboard as a catchphrase, but it's the interaction device. It's the interaction with the device. Whether it's voice, typing, or some future thing I'm not even thinking about, we're going to have an AI model that lives on that device that is waiting for our commands. And they'll be using time, they'll be using voice notes, they'll be using notes, text messages to take those actions. I use the keyboard as like the catch-all of we are humans. That is an interface, a device, and I need to interact with it. And the keyboard is how I do that.
Any additional questions?
I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
So you said that the agent won't reside in the operating system. So I'm curious, how is it collecting all the information?
Yeah, so the operating system was to demonstrate that if you had to build, if you're a company, if you're Google or Microsoft, and you want to push a personalized AI model to the humans that are interacting with it, they're not going to build an operating system-based interaction device. They're going to do it through the voice model. So in Microsoft's case, you can see they're pushing Copilot, but Copilot will come out of the operating system and be, hopefully, this interaction app that has voice, just like ChatGPT. It'll have voice, it'll have text, and you can just open it up and interact with it. So it's not about like where the information resides. That's still to be determined. It's about the interaction point, not being with the operating system itself, but being with the AI assistant or the voice models that we're used to.
First of all, great presentation, Andrew. Really loved it.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding the middle of the funnel. Can you give some examples about those? Like what would the middle of the funnel looks like?
Yeah,
Thanks.
sure. Yeah, so I mean, the CNET one is great, right? Because there are so many websites that exist today that are just to provide expert advice, which is compiling data or information for the human to digest a summary of. What I just said is exactly what ChatGPT does, right? So the summary of like, I don't know, if you have, CNET's such a great example, expert reviews, headphones, washing machines, dishwashers. I need to go buy a product. The product would be great if it just showed up on my doorstep. That's the lower of the funnel result that we're all kind of looking for. Like, I have different preferences as you, but at the end of the day, I still want a noise canceling headphone. And I just want it to show up and I want to start using it. So the more we can build for the middle and the lower part of the funnel where that just shows up properly and I don't have to return it, the better you're going to be. The top of the funnel stuff is taking all of your data and trying to explain your product or summarize your product. That's what we're getting away from. But you can tell just by me saying that, you're thinking in your head, that's what ChatGPT does so well. Reads a 500-page PDF and summarizes it for me. So that's the top of the funnel. Which slide? Sorry. Oh, my name and contact. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm pressing back. It might be better if, thank you. I think it's slide like 14, 10, somewhere around there. I appreciate it. They'll put it up while I'm answering the next question.
Hi. I'm curious about the evolution of the compensation model.
Yep.
Because CNET is providing real information
Yes.
that's being stolen from them and not being compensated for it. What do you expect to happen in that space for the people who are actually creating the true content?
Right. And I'm all the stuff I tried to present was based on things that I learned from the tech giants of what they're doing to the internet. You are completely right. There's the world of New York Times, CNET, that has been having a business for a very long time, providing that information to the humans to sort through the noise. I'm not sure about a compensation model. The two things that I've heard a lot of is kind of the ChatGPT model, but kind of emphasized. I have a phone and I have a phone bill that is 1 million tokens big. And I can use those tokens however I'd like, whether it's to search for noise canceling headphones or find places for my dog to go to the park. And as I use those tokens, they'll be consumed from my device, my AI assistant. But for the most part, those tokens are going to be spent and I hope traded with the company providing that information. But that interaction, that payment gateway hasn't been set up yet.
Yeah, I guess my question was, do you expect CNET to paywall their information to protect their intellectual property somehow.
I think at this point, it's a lost cause. I think every AI bot has crawled their website, and they can only provide new information to keep something proprietary. At this point, anything in the past has been crawled and stolen.
Yeah, but products are constantly
Yeah, we
evolving.
Yeah, exactly.
Very quickly, nice presentation.
Thank
What
you.
is 923?
What's that?
What is 923?
Sure. So our first product was a mobile app. We founded it in 2012. My co-founder here in Boston. We had 600,000 people on it. Basically, all that LinkedIn QR code you guys use, we came up with that in 2012. And so we had the largest business card company. We worked at night. I was a nuclear submarine engineer. He was working at a company called Profitect. And we were working from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. for 5 years, nonstop. And then we finally sold that company, and we had to change the name overnight. And so we said, what better than 923? Thank you for asking.
Yes, my name is Mark Zheng, and you give a very inspiration talk about what future could be.
Thank you.
The question that I have is actually, because right now it's still pre-early stage of develop this agent. So as a human develop this agent, as agent become more and more clever and more capable, the question that I have is that in terms of looking down, in 5 years, 10 years, what kind of what kind of guide rail that we need to develop such that actually at some point, agent will still be live harmoniously with human rather than they come back to interfere in the way that we like to live, for example. So that's a more like a general question, philosophically.
I've been working on this talk for 6 months, and I love the Matrix as that analogy because it's what happens if we don't control them properly. It is truly the world that we could live in if we let AI overrun us. From a guardrail standpoint, from an agentic world, I mean, right now we've been building agents that we can use on multiple clients. We have an agent that his only job or her only job is to go into an Excel spreadsheet, find all the nulls, and replace them with zeros. But we forever have that agent now to use on any of our clients' projects, and it's just going to multiply. I guess your point is, at what point do they become so smart that they can take over and start doing that thing that Agent Smith was doing to multiply and get out of control? It's up to the governments, it's up to the politicians, it's up to those big tech giants to make sure that doesn't happen. And I think the best thing we can do is inform these senators what AI actually is and tell them how powerful it is so that they don't raise their hand in Congress and say, what is Facebook and how does it work? We need to inform them that this is coming so that they can make the decisions, or maybe start installing some tech intelligent people into Senate and smart into the House so that they can help make these decisions as well. That's the best I can give because I don't have a way to stop them.
Yeah, I have just one question in terms of over here by the wall. So I work in the healthcare space, and one of the, I would say, barriers to adoption of different AI tools is privacy.
Yes.
So thinking of the place agents have, I think, in everyday life, I personally already have my reservations. Now I'm applying that to the healthcare space where privacy is even more paramount. How do you see agents evolving in that space?
Yeah, it's like a cart before the horse, or whatever that phrase is. In the next year, I mean, I have a Pixel 9, and I already have an AI assistant on my phone. I'm going to become addicted to using that search as opposed to any other search, and I'm going to forget that it's stealing my data. I have to be cognizant and aware that I'm giving up my data to an AI assistant. As soon as Apple figures out their Apple Intelligence, that data is going to start to be stolen. But I think the responsibility that you have and that we have with our clients is to ensure that privacy is always upheld. And if somebody wants to opt out, they truly can opt out. It's a world that we're going to have to address because I already know of a few products inside the healthcare space that have ChatGPT involved. Microsoft promises not to train on your data. Does it happen? I hope so. But we have to be cognizant of exactly how those products are being deployed and how the big tech giants are going to secure us when we want to give actual private information. So I think it's part of the terms and conditions and the legal parts that we have to keep pushing on the tech giants and say, no, this is too much. I need a localized agent here.
Hi, thanks for the talk. It was great. I have a question regarding the time part which you mentioned. So I think you told that we don't want to interact with the devices anymore. It'll know when to give what. But as humans, we're not like deterministic. We are quite random. When we plan, like we'll at 2 p.m. we'll do this, we end up doing it at 2:30. So in that case, without any inputs from us, how does the process work?
I've seen a lot of products. I've worked with a lot of tech products. You'd be surprised what they know and what they can predict just from a few signals. I know specifically we all think that they're listening to our phones, but if you're with somebody else for a period of time and those two phones are traveling in the same space and person A does a search, person B is going to see those search results. That is something that like has been happening for many years, and it's just part of the technology that's built into these. I don't think that, like, humans are very, very herd mentality. If you look at cohorts of products, it is very obvious to predict which product a new person's going to predict based on their tendencies and characteristics, and even patterns and mouse clicks. The more data you have, the more you can predict. Humans are very similar to other humans. So I'm not as worried of agents not learning us and being able to predict, because Google already can at a ridiculous rate. Do we have
one more last question.
Yeah.
Great talk.
Thank you.
Just wondering what your sense is on how robust agents are against misinformation and data poisoning. Are there going to be guardrails in place to make sure they don't lose their trust?
Thank you. Yeah, that's an incredible question. I hope that I can be a part of helping that. And I will ask if anyone is in this room looking for people to help with this, I will be the first to raise my hand. It is a huge problem because we can build these products with every intention to make them work properly. But as soon as we tell people how we're building these products, they can obviously be used for improper reasons and the dark web. We're 15 days away from agents being deployed at a massive scale and putting more misinformation on the internet that's ever been there before. We know it's coming. We all are aware that what's happening, yet we don't have the platform in place to protect us. So I truly pray that like the technologists in this room, the big tech giants in this room, can start to figure out a way to know when misinformation happens and quickly address it in that conversation in Facebook so that a robot's not talking to a human for 13 days straight. Like, we need to stop that. And I don't have an answer, but like, we need to all raise our hand and be like, I'm willing to help.
Thank you, Andrew,
Thank you.
for a wonderful talk.
Thank you.
And please help me.
Thank you.